At the family reunion, my son asked, "Why don't we have any plates?" My dad laughed and said, "We didn't plan for extras." I looked around the table. The pets had their own table. I smiled, picked up my purse, and said, "Before you start eating, check the joint account." We walked out. 15 minutes later, chaos exploded in the group chat. And later, I wasn't even supposed to be there. If Paige hadn't called me, I wouldn't have gone anywhere near that reunion. I had no reason to. My parents hadn't spoken to me since January. Not a real conversation anyway. Every message was some version of "hope you're well" followed by the way, can you help us out with, and a dollar amount? The only time they ever remembered I existed was when they needed me to fix something for them financially, emotionally, or socially. But then out of nowhere, Paige called. The same sister I hadn't talked to since that awful Thanksgiving fight. She didn't sound like herself. Her voice was quieter, hesitant. She didn't even try to make small talk. He just said, "You might want to come this year. Things aren't what they seem." No explanation, no apology, just that. And for some reason, I went. Maybe I wanted to see what she meant. Maybe a part of me still hoped my family could act normal for one day. Or maybe I just wanted Jamie to have grandparents again, even if it meant pretending. So we drove down. 2.5 hours of silence. Jamie in the back seat asking what kind of food there'd be. I said, "Probably barbecue, maybe grandma's potato salad." But the whole time my gut told me this was going to end badly. I just didn't expect it to be that bad. The moment we walked into the backyard, I knew something was off. No one greeted us. Not a single glance our way. Just laughter and clinking cups. My dad in his usual spot by the grill. My mom running around taking photos like she was hosting a magazine shoot. And then Jamie tugged on my arm. "Mom," he whispered, "why aren't there plates for us?" At first, I thought he was just being impatient, but then I saw it, too. Every table had name cards. Every person had a place setting except us. Then my dad chuckled from across the yard loud enough for everyone to hear. We didn't plan for extras. Extras like we were some last-minute guests they forgot to account for. Like we weren't family. I looked around again. That's when I saw it. A whole separate table decorated with a gingham tablecloth, little chalkboard name signs, and silver bowls. The pets had their own seats, their own meals. Turkey for the dogs, salmon for the cats. They'd even set out bottled water with the pets' names printed on the labels. And me and my son had nothing. I stood there for a second watching my mom fix the ribbon on a dog's collar, and I swear something inside me just clicked. I thought about the $6,500 I'd lent them last year for the roof. How my mom cried and said the insurance wouldn't cover it. How she begged me not to tell Paige because it would only cause drama. I transferred the money that same day, no questions asked. I've been waiting for them to pay me back ever since. Now they were serving their golden retriever roast turkey off my money. I didn't say a word. I just smiled, picked up my purse, and looked right at my dad. "Before you start eating, check the joint account." Then I turned to Jamie. "Let's go." We walked out. No one stopped us. 15 minutes later, sitting in my car, the messages started flooding in. "What did you just do? You drained the joint account. We needed that for bills. Everly, you're being petty. Grow up and come back." I didn't respond. I scrolled through the chaos while Jamie ate fries in the back seat. My mom's name kept popping up, then my dad's, then my uncle's. Everyone suddenly had something to say about family loyalty. The same people who watched my kid get ignored like he didn't exist an hour earlier. The next morning, my doorbell rang. My mom stood there with a smile that didn't reach her eyes, holding a plastic box of cookies shaped like bones. She said she had leftovers from the reunion. She actually tried to hand them to me. I just closed the door. By that evening, my phone was on fire again. My dad said I'd humiliated them. My mom said I'd ruined the family event. My uncle said I should apologize. Everyone had an opinion except the one person I wanted to hear from, Paige. Then late that night, a notification popped up. Her name, just one message. "You were right." I stared at it for a long time because if Paige, my mother's favorite, the one who always defended them, was saying that, it meant something had changed, something big. And for the first time in years, I felt a flicker of curiosity instead of anger. Whatever she knew, I was about to find out. I stared at that message the entire night. You were right. Coming from Paige, that wasn't small. That was seismic. She was the one who told me I overreacted. The one who defended our parents every time I reached a breaking point. Who called me selfish when I finally said no after a lifetime of yes. Now she was admitting I was right. I didn't reply right away. I didn't trust it. The next morning, she messaged again. Please just talk to me. We met at a diner halfway between our houses. I got there early, sat in the booth by the window, and waited. Part of me was still angry. Another part of me was weirdly nervous, like I was about to hear something I couldn't unhear. When Paige walked in, I barely recognized her. No makeup, hoodie, hair pulled back. She looked tired, not just physically. Worn down in that way you only get when you've been holding something in for too long. She sat down, didn't touch the menu, didn't ask how I was, just started talking. She said she'd been wrong. Not just about the reunion, about everything. Apparently, not long after I distanced myself, things at the house started getting different, meaner, quieter, more real. She overheard them talking about me, saying I was good for it, that I'd always come around once I cooled off, that all they had to do was keep Jamie close. Send cards, mention him on holidays, keep the door open just enough. She'll always come back for the kid. Then came the worst part. They never planned to pay me back. In fact, they'd been telling the rest of the family that I was the one who insisted on helping, that I offered the money because I make 6 figures now. My mom even joked about it at Easter, called me generous, like I just threw money around for fun. Paige said she tried to call them out once, but got shut down. She didn't even know about the pets table until that day. She was disgusted. Told me she was the one who called me over because she wanted me to see it with my own eyes. Her way of waking me up. She said she wasn't living in a home anymore. It was a machine, a system. Everyone had a role. My parents pulled the strings like it was some kind of game. The ones who gave the most were praised, and the ones who resisted were cut off, shamed, or quietly talked about. She said she was done. She looked right at me and said, I didn't believe you. I do now. I didn't even know what I felt then. Not vindicated. Not relieved. Just a kind of heavy, quiet confirmation. Like a wound I'd ignored had finally been named, and I left the diner feeling weighted down. That night, after Jamie went to bed, I sat in my room scrolling through old messages from my parents. Every thank you. Every promise to pay me back. Every little manipulation hidden behind smiley emojis and heart stickers. Then I sent the message, 12 tomorrow. I'll be at the house. If we don't talk, we're done. I waited. Nothing. Not even a thumbs up. I went anyway. My mom opened the door like she was answering the mailman. No emotion, no urgency. Oh, she said. You were serious? They didn't even offer me a seat. That I stood in the living room and asked straight out. Did you lie about the money? About what you told everyone else? Did you really say those things about Jamie? My dad looked annoyed, like I was wasting his time. Said I was taking things the wrong way. That they didn't lie. They just didn't explain everything. My mom sighed and said, You're still on about the money? That was it. I told them I was done. For real this time. No more calls. No more help. No more pretending we're a normal family. And if they ever tried to pull Jamie into it again, even a postcard without asking, I consider it harassment. They didn't take it seriously. But they would. Because I was finally done playing the good daughter, I thought that would be the end of it. Naively, I believed if I stood firm, they'd finally understand I wasn't bluffing. But with people like them, silence isn't surrender, it's strategy. At first, they stayed quiet. No calls, no texts. I didn't reach out either. Jamie didn't ask about them, though I could tell he sensed something. He just stayed close to me, especially in the evenings, like he could feel the tension humming beneath everything. 3 days later, Paige sent me a screenshot. It was a Facebook post, an old photo of my mom and Jamie from Christmas 2 years ago. One of the ones I took. Jamie in a red sweater, frosting on his nose, sitting on her lap in front of the tree. The caption read, We don't get to see him as much anymore, but we'll always love our sweet Jamie. Family is complicated, but love is simple. Some bridges can burn, but the heart remembers. Red heart. Perfect. Polished. Just vague enough to earn sympathy from anyone who didn't know the truth. The comments were full of stay strong, and he'll come back around. She'd done it again. Flipped the narrative before I even had a chance to speak. That I didn't comment. Didn't like it. Just stared, feeling that slow, familiar burn rise in my chest. Then Paige texted again. He's already calling people. Says you lost it at the reunion, and she doesn't know what happened to you. Apparently, my parents told Aunt Marlene I was having a stress episode, that I was overprotective of Jamie and obsessed with money. They were rewriting the whole story, painting themselves as the poor, confused grandparents who just wanted to love their grandson, that I started saving everything. Screenshots, messages, voice notes. The next week was quiet. Jamie had soccer. I worked late. For a few days, it almost felt normal. Then, on Wednesday afternoon, everything shattered. I pulled into the school pickup line at 3 o'clock like always. Waited 10 minutes. Then 15. No Jamie. I parked and went inside. The receptionist smiled like nothing was wrong. He already left, she said. Picked up at 2:15. Your parents signed him out. For a second, I couldn't breathe. They're listed as emergency contacts, she added. They had ID. We double-checked. My heart stopped. I ran to the car, shaking. Called my mom. No answer. Called my dad. Nothing. Then I called Paige. She picked up right away. I think they took him home, she said. I'm on my way there. I think they're trying to fix this, make it look like a misunderstanding. I didn't respond. Just drove. I ran 3 red lights and didn't care. When I got there, I didn't knock. I shoved the door open. There they were, my parents on the couch, Jamie between them, holding a cookie. He looked pale. Not scared, just confused. The second he saw me, he jumped up. I grabbed his hand and turned to them. I wasn't yelling. I wasn't crying. I was completely calm. I told them clearly. If they ever took Jamie without my permission again, I'd call the police. I wasn't threatening. I meant it. My dad stood like he wanted to argue. My mom tried to smooth things over. We just wanted time with him, she said. You've been so distant. I cut her off. You took my son without telling me. Jamie stayed beside me the whole walk to the car. He didn't speak until we pulled into our driveway. I didn't want to go with them, he said quietly. They said you said it was okay. I told him I hadn't. He nodded, silent. That night, he crawled into my bed like he used to. I knew then we'd crossed a line that couldn't be fixed. The next morning, he stayed close, watching the door like he expected them to walk in again. I emailed the school and had my parents removed from his contact list, attached custody papers, and made it clear they were never allowed to pick him up again. Later, Paige stopped by, furious. She said our parents didn't see what they did as wrong. They claimed I'd manipulated her. Then she handed me a flash drive. Listen to the last recording, she said. You'll understand why I'm moving out. That night, after Jamie fell asleep, I listened. It was my parents in their kitchen. My mom said, Everly needs to think she's in control. Let her cut us off. She'll come back when she's tired or broke. Then my dad. Or we go through Jamie. He's soft. He trusts people. Something in me broke, cold and final. They weren't just selfish. They were calculated. Jamie wasn't a child to them. He was leverage. The next morning, I called a realtor. I needed distance, a new zip code, a clean slate. While I was on the phone, my dad sent a video of Jamie laughing in their yard. No words, just guilt disguised as nostalgia. I blocked them, secured the school, and changed the locks. That night, I told Jamie we were moving. That Paige would come too. He nodded and asked, Can we have a dog? I laughed for the first time in weeks. Yeah, we can. Days later, my dad showed up with a letter full of fake apologies and a request to reconsider the $6,500 as a gift. At the bottom, P.S. Don't punish Jamie by keeping him from us. That was the final confirmation. They didn't love us. They wanted control. Soon after, my aunt tried to visit Jamie at school. I booked a hotel until we moved. Paige found a duplex nearby, and 2 weeks later, we settled into our new home. Jamie hung up drawings of dogs, and we adopted Penny, brown, floppy-eared, and full of love. For a while, things were peaceful. Then came a burner email. We know where you are. Families always come back together. I increased security, but they went further. My mother impersonated me and picked Jamie up early. We found them an hour later. He was safe, but I was done. I changed schools, hired a lawyer, and cut every tie. 6 weeks later, the house finally feels like home. Jamie sleeps soundly. Paige brings me coffee, and Penny guards his bed. I'm free, not because I forgave them, but because I stopped hoping they'd change. Sometimes, family is who stays when everyone else becomes a threat.